What's up, residents? Today we have a special guest. Everyone, meet the Omni Viewer. How about you go and introduce yourself?
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. I am the Omni Viewer, little-known kaiju YouTuber and author of Operation Red Dragon: The Daikaiju Wars Part 1. Great to be here. Thanks for having me on.
No problem, dude. I've been watching your videos for all this year, really, and I just feel like you're kind of like an underdog YouTuber in our world. So I'm very happy to have you on because I want to hear your thoughts on this new show we have right here called Primal. So what's your initial thoughts after watching this first season, we hope, and all that? How do you feel right now?
I feel emotionally devastated, but in the best possible way.
Yeah, I guess I know what you're talking about, and that means the finale of the series. And so that's what we're going to get into right now, starting with the two characters. And we have Spear, the caveman guy, and Fang. So how did you really... I heard your thoughts already, but how do you feel about it now after it's been, about a week or so since you've watched it all? I heard your initial thoughts, but how do you feel about it right now with the two characters and how they put them into the show?
I think they crafted such great characters for this thing. The two leads, the different creatures and people they meet along the way, but Spear and Fang especially... Theirs is such an interesting relationship because, like you hear Genndy Tartakovsky say in interviews, it's not like pet and owner, and it's not a full-blown equal partnership. They're just sort of... It's almost hard to explain, almost, but they're
kind of mutually working together. Now,
yeah,
you'll like this because you're a Godzilla fan. They're kind of like Godzilla and Mothra of sorts. Like, there's almost that sort of weird bond they have with each other, that they're two completely different species. They're both smart. One's a little smarter than the other one, perhaps, but they just work together to survive in this crazy, weird prehistoric world that is pretty much the combination of everything I think a lot of people like us wanted to see for pretty much our whole lives. And that kind of gets me to the next thing I wanted to bring up with you specifically. Do you think that in 2019, like today's standard of cartoons, do you feel like this is above the norm of what we normally get with cartoons? It's been a while since Saturday morning cartoons have been a thing,
Yeah. But, yeah, I would definitely say it is well above. I mean, there are some good shows that have been out in terms of animation recently, but even the best of the ones that you generally see people talking about, Primal is still sort of on a different level. Yeah, it's so difficult to put into words when it's, especially since there are no words actually in it. But there's just something about watching it that you instantly know there's something special about it. Passion went into every single second of this. I mean, it was done by the right people in the right way, and...
Yeah, it seems like it's one of those movies that kind of comes up, or movies, series, shows, whatever it is, that comes up every once in a while, and it just catches people completely off guard. Like, they're like, whoa, and usually it's kind of like, it's not from a big production, or some sort of fancy people may not be involved in it, or really top of the line names or anything like that. Not saying that Genndy isn't, but it seems like every once in a while, movies like 300, or for example, like that was a super bizarre movie of similar sort of gore and just epic scenery. Like the shots were kind of similar, but in live action. So every once in a while, these super artistic and ballsy, dare I say, cartoons come out. And of course, we had to talk about it because it's pretty much been one of the major, if not the most talked about features of Primal, is the gore. So give me your feelings, give me your thoughts on the whole gore of this cartoon.
Well, I feel like the gore was properly implemented. Like, for the first 4 episodes, it isn't even really that gory, all things considered. It's violent, yes. There's a lot of blood, but they saved the actual eviscera for that final episode. Those final moments when the characters are in their most dire situation yet, and we see Spear basically sacrifices humanity to become this ultimate monster and just give it to all of those horrible apes. And it's like this moment where it's simultaneously you wanted to see these monkeys get what they deserve for hurting Fang and possibly killing her, but at the same time it's like, good lord, this is horrifying. I don't know if I actually did want this now that I'm seeing it. And it's amazing that they struck that balance. They used it so effectively. So many times you see people think, oh, well, if we're making it for adults, it's just gotta be all gory all the time because that's what makes it adult.
Yeah, like the gross out factor or like the real hardcore shock factor. Yeah, it never really got to that point until the end, like you said. But at that point, it really did feel right for the scene. And I mean, and it was a cool way of seeing a realistic Marvel kid version of what would happen if the Hulk was to punch you. So that's kind of what I was like, this is what would happen, just so you know, if the Hulk hits you. So yeah, that was really cool. And overall, the gore was top notch, and I haven't seen something like that. Not top notch in an over the top way, but in a good way. But I haven't seen stuff like that since way back, I guess in like the late 90s, early thousands, when I was a real little kid, and I would see these graphic novels or books that would come out, and there was these dinosaurs that would walk around. I can't remember the series. I don't know if you remember it, and I know we're getting off a little off topic, but it's just kind of what this whole series reminded me of. But
Was it Age of the Dinosaurs from Dark Horse?
It could have been. I'd have to see pictures and all that at this point. Like, I was super young. We're talking first grade, kindergarten, and all that sort of level. But I would get it, and it was you'd follow the dinosaur, and like you would get in the fights, and it'd be this level of like gore and all that. I don't know. It was cool. But we'll talk about that another time. But we'll figure that out. But let's get back on to Primal, I guess. So, do you think that there's going to be a season 2 or a series set 2? I really feel like there's going to be. Like, yeah, it did. Spoilers ahead if you haven't watched the series yet. It looks like Fang does indeed get killed, but at the same time, I feel like it wasn't quite intense enough. We didn't really see her die. It's not like she just kind of got beat up and she looks like she's clearly out of it, but I'm still holding on because it wasn't like we didn't see anything really devastating happen, that they can kind of keep her alive if the series did well, which I want to hear what you thought about that too. So what are your final thoughts on a season 2?
Well, a lot of the people in the comments of my videos, especially for the review of the last episode, have been saying that there is a plan at least for a season 2, and that Gendy has said there's a plan for 10 episodes total, or like a 10 episode season 2. It seems to vary who says what, but I do think if that's the case, then whether or not we get it simply depends on whether or not this first season has done well. And I haven't seen anyone say a single bad word about it yet. So hopefully that means it's doing well enough that they will greenlight that second season. I really want to see it. If we don't get it, the ending we've currently got would be horribly depressing, but also kind of appropriate in a way. But I do want to see a continuation, and I want to see something beyond that.
Yeah, I'd like to see like a complete series kind of finish, even if they did only make 5 more episodes. I feel like that would be enough to make it like a proper series to where they could really kind of build up a proper ending of this epic friendship between an old human of sorts, caveman guy, and then the what we think is a T-Rex with Fang. So I would love to see a season 2. And like you said, it seems like everybody's praising it, just like we have this whole time we've been talking about it. I would bring up some negatives if I really could find some. And I don't really like to nitpick to find negatives. So that's really how enjoyable these 5 episodes of Primal were for me. I feel like it's set up perfectly to do a season 2. The only thing that would stop it from it is if there's just like 10 of us that are very vocal about how much we love the show, and that's the only people that are watching it. Like you said, there's no official numbers, and at the end of the day, that's kind of what keeps series going and all that. So hopefully our huge positive fan outcry will get us another 5 episodes.
Here's hoping. Fingers crossed.
Yeah, for sure. So, do you have any negatives you'd want to bring up on this series? I really can't think of any.
I mean, it would feel like nitpicking, like you said. Like, sometimes I see people comment on how it seems like the creatures change size from shot to shot, and I would say, yeah, I noticed that, but at the same time, occasionally I think that's kind of done intentionally. Like,
yeah,
it's meant to be more impressionistic.
Yeah, no, that's funny that you bring that up. I totally realized that while watching all the episodes. I was like, all right, so in some shots, Fang looks like a T-Rex from the Jurassic Park movies, and then the next, she's like kind of like a horse size. So I'm like, how's this going on? But like you said, they do it so obviously that it would seem weird if they weren't doing it on purpose. Like you said, it seems like a way of visual storytelling. Like, it puts them more on level. When Fang is beefed up and she's acting more like a alpha predator, she seems larger. But then when it seems like her and Spear are on the same level, that they're kind of more similar in size.
Yeah, they're dwarfed by whatever they're facing.
Yeah. It's cool how they did it, honestly. It's totally on purpose now that we talk about it. Totally.
And, like, I mean, I would say, like, I didn't respond to episode 4 the way other people have, simply because I'm not entirely sure how to wrap my head around the bats and the spider relationship. But
true.
Even then, I basically accepted that's supposed to be a horror episode. Horror deals a lot with the unknown, so maybe we're not supposed to know, and it's still a good episode all the same.
Oh yeah, it still captures what we all really like about this series, which is epic, scenic shots and a whole lot of not monster. Well, those bats were kind of like monsters, but a whole lot of killing and excitement, and seeing the two work together to get through these crazy obstacles. So, like you said, it that did leave questions, but like you said, it's nitpicking at this point. You're like, it doesn't even matter. It was still awesome.
That episode was like the Pulp Fiction episode, like the classic Robert E. Howard, Conan the Barbarian sort of thing.
Yep. So I thought it was really cool. I thought the whole of Primal was awesome. I really hope we get a season 2. And that's our thoughts on it right now. And I really want to thank you for coming on and speaking with me and letting the residents hear you. Omni, for sure, give yourself another shout out and a round of applause to you. That was really awesome. And hopefully we can get to talk some more about more shows and maybe a season 2 of Primal.
Indeed. Thanks for having me on. Thank everyone in the audience for listening. And I guess if we're signing off, then until such time as we meet again, this is the Omni Viewer signing off.
All right, everyone. This has been Jacob, and as always, peace out.